Welcome. My name is Amber Smith, and on behalf of Evolving Education, thank you all for joining. Today's date is Friday, October 13th, 2023, and this is our Evolving in Education Teacher Training Initiative. We have with us here today David from Evolving Education, and Angel from 3R Educational Solutions, and PJ Motzi from Be Real to You. Hopefully, we're hoping to hear from you guys in a little bit. But right now, we're going to start working our way through this agenda so we don't take up too much of your time. Again, I thank you all so much for joining. So the overview of the meeting objectives is clearly, the clear outline of the objectives for this meeting is emphasizing the goal of facilitating the combination of 3R educational solutions, online social emotional learning, and trauma-informed teacher training with Evolving Education's 3-month online teacher training, the Learning Expedition. So, like I said, we'll move on to some discussion here in a minute, but really quickly, I'd like to go over item 3 on the agenda, understanding EIE's role. So we will discuss really briefly how EIE can best support the integration of the two programs, ensuring that the excellence of both of you guys' or all of y'all's amazing programs are is upheld. And this is all just off the top of my head, i.e. ChatGPT. I know you can't rely on ChatGPT, but this is some great, I think they're great suggestions on how we can do this. Because when I was coming into this, I was like, how can we actually do this? You guys are probably thinking the same, or you might have some ideas, which I'm happy to hear, or I'm eager to hear. But so anyway, first on the list is needs assessment. Identify the common goals and objectives of all 3 programs, or 4 in this case. Be Real to You as well. I know you don't exactly do, I don't believe you do teacher training, PJ, but we'd love to integrate what you guys are doing at Be Real to You. This will help align the program's content and outline, curriculum alignment. And Evolving in Education isn't set in any kind of definite curriculum. You know, we just trying to figure out the best way, but this is its suggestion. Work on aligning the curricula of the programs, identifying areas of overlap and potential integration, create a cohesive curriculum that seamlessly integrates social emotional learning, trauma-informed training, and the learner center model that the Learning Expedition and Evolving Education is so creatively and tirelessly crafted. So I won't go through all of these, but just a couple more. Cross-training. Implement cross-training opportunities where instructors and participants from each program have access to components of the others. This encourages cross-pollination of knowledge and skills. Technology integration. Leverage technology to create a unified online platform that provides easy access to all programs, material, resources, interactive tools. Consistent communication, which is key. Quality assurance, personalization, feedback loops, professional development, assessment and evaluation, research and innovation, community engagement, sustainability. So we'll open up for a little discussion in just one moment, but I had an idea today that I want to run by you guys, and that is to consider the possibility of integrating the teacher training into the learning program or materials or schedule, you know, unschool curriculum, whatever you call it. So I'd like to hear from you guys if that's all right, if anybody has any input on that. If not, we can keep going, pushing through the agenda. Okay. So the user-friendly approach, the user-friendly approach. Explore strategies and ideas for delivering the combined programs in the most user-friendly way for teachers and participants. So Jonathan Chambly, he has the Fireflies AI note taker here taking notes. We had a meeting with him, and during that meeting, you know, we were discussing our goal to implement teacher training into public schools, comprehensive teacher training. He suggested, he has, you know, I think he does a lot of programming and app development, software development, and he suggested just having like focus groups with the teachers and find out what they want to, how they want to see it, and exactly the experience. And today I had a meeting with our board, and we were discussing, I can't remember the exact term, but user analytics, something like that. We do analysis, you know, get in the schools, talk to the teachers, find out exactly how and what, when, where, why, essentially. All right, and we're working our way through this agenda quickly. We'll open up to discussion whenever anybody would like to, but again, I want to be mindful of everyone's time. So collaboration with 3R Educational Solutions. Angel, do you have any key points and requirements for successful collaboration with your organization, which you would like to discuss?
I think right now we're just open pretty much to anything that can help. We offer our services online, and we're working on getting our new course creators on there where they're offering stuff online. My specialty is the trauma-informed social emotional learning part, and Cassie's our sound therapist, and we're working with some other people trying to get courses developed. And I mean, it takes time, but I mean, we're willing to. I know Cassie and I are willing to travel. It's just funding is always a deal. So I guess I know we're a nonprofit, or you guys are a nonprofit, but it's kind of like whatever we can do to help. And like if you guys say to us, can you get a program this school wants? Am I on the right track here? This school wants more social emotional learning and how to easily incorporate it into their daily routine. We can speak to them about that. I like to start teachers off by training them on just brain development and why kids do what they do. And then going, okay, here's how to incorporate social emotional learning just in your daily routine, how you're responsible for making sure your environment, your classroom environment is ready for them, and try to mitigate any outside stressors. I feel like I'm just rambling. So
Oh, that's great. I love that. And I believe that's what you when you speak of the brain development, you're kind of drawing upon the neurosequential knowledge.
yes.
That's awesome. Very cool. And yeah, I love it. I thank you so much. I'm so excited for us all to work together if you guys are willing. And we've budgeted in, though we haven't yet gotten any grant funding or much crowdfunding. We got one donation other than my mom and me, but Walmart donated $1,000, and Costco also donated $250. And they said upon progress reports, they're going to donate more potentially. But we have budgeted in within our $50,000 budget for our pilot project. We budgeted in teacher training. So, I don't expect everybody to help for free, to continue to help for free. I know that this is a sort of entailed deal, but very cool. All right. So we'll move on to David. Integration with evolving education. Discuss the integration of the programs with evolving education's learning expedition and how it aligns with EIE's mission. So I believe that our missions are pretty aligned. I think that's why our paths crossed, but I'd love to hear from you, David. Oh no, David's cut out.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
I feel like we're rowing in the same direction, and that there's a lot of momentum building. Maybe I'll take off my camera to facilitate the connection, which is as tired as I am at this time of the week. But just saying, but yeah, we're up for seeing how to combine it with other people's resources and ideas. Essentially, the training program that we're sharing at the moment, the Learning Expedition, was designed based on that research, talking with lots of teachers on understanding what are the challenges that they go through, and then building a path to go through a process of personal growth, self-awareness, understanding how step on their shoes, and then understanding how to connect with their intrinsic motivation for learning and what tools that are available to them through a process of experimentation, so that they get to see what can work in their environment rather than a prescriptive solution of this is the one thing that is going to work for everyone. It's rather a process of here's a variety of options. Let's see what it works for each of you in your different contexts and environments. And we are all part of this community of people that are experimenting with different things. So it's very flexible and adaptable. We're partnering with other people and then bring an organization. We focus more on the personal development side of the educators, because that's a basic foundation. I feel that without that, it's hard to move and beyond to other things. And other people are more interested into the actual educational practices like project-based learning, inquiry-based learning, coaching, conversations, and this type of methodologies, how to put them into practice. So yeah, all those adaptations are very feasible because we also build it in a modular way. So that is relatively easy to take bits and pieces and combine it with other people's resources. And yeah, it's all about, I think, having a very clear goal, even geographical scope or an audience scope of which target audience we want to serve and support, understanding what are their needs that they're having at that moment, and then seeing out of the pool of strengths that there are in this community, how we combine them to support those people to make meaningful transformation in their learning spaces.
Wonderful. Thank you, David. Yes, the work that you and Les are doing is truly phenomenal. I don't know if everybody's aware, but David and Les, they have founded I believe it's a nonprofit, right? Evolving Education. And I think you just totally explained, traveled the world in search of the most innovative education. And they share that, and they have created an extensive, wonderful global village. You know, they've created an online community of change makers, and they've empowered them through their innovative, you know, the research that the breakthrough research that they've devoted their lives to doing. So it's incredible. And I've been attending like some panels and stuff with some thought leaders in education, and it seems like they're kind of on the cusp of what you guys are pushing, and people are catching on, but slowly. So that's what EIE strives to do. You know, we don't want to go out here and try to reinvent the wheel. You guys have already done all the work. We just want to help be the catalyst for change, you know, help you guys further y'all's mission and work together. So
I think one idea of something that for me will be super useful. The funding obviously is a key part, but I think the people that want to take part in these initiatives, so the schools or government districts that want to be part of such a pilot, that would be amazing, because then we can start talking about the real needs and context, and we can see how we can think about something that fits the needs of that population. And then when we can come up with a proposal for agencies, foundations, wherever, that is now very, very specific. And it's like we have analyzed the context of the, they have shared with us that these are their challenges, and we have all these strengths and resources that we can want to bring to them and to make this project sustainable. And then I think it will be a lot easier to get the ball rolling when we focus on kind of on a specific population that we want to support.
Indeed, yes, we did that for New Mexico because we had intended on starting in New Mexico because we had some connections there. And we still have our New Mexico proposal that our head neuroscientist, Dr. Lee Raz, and I have been discussing reworking, because we're hoping to launch our pilot project right here in this small town where I live. And I have some connections with some small schools, local schools that are really struggling. Some really good connections with those schools. So it may be sooner than later, you know, maybe coming up quick. So I'll share with you that New Mexico proposal if you like, or I can rework it try to start working on reworking it for Alabama, because we did that with New Mexico. We didn't actually go into the schools, but like Giselle and our whole team helped, and we researched the needs and you know, the challenges, and we added them to the grant proposal or to the New Mexico proposal. What we weren't proposing them give us any money, like, and that's probably why it didn't work out, because we didn't have any money. You know, we aim to raise our own money and then go in and implement in the school, not charge them anything. But it would be nice to work together to where they could contribute. That's ideal. All right, so let's work our way through this agenda, and then we'll open up to a good deal of discussion, if that's all right with you. So timeline and milestones. We won't do this right now, but maybe we can work on this in the future if you guys want to talk about it. Establish a timeline for the project, including key milestones and deadlines. So I'll be honest with you guys. My goal has always been to get my kids in this pilot project. It's not whatsoever contingent on that, but so I always thought by 2026. But that could possibly be a timeline. Hey, Jonathan, thank you for joining.
Hello. Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. It's glad to see everyone here. How are y'all?
Good. It's an honor to have you, man. Everyone, this is Jonathan. If it's all right with you guys, I kind of skipped introductions. We can go around and do some introductions.
Yeah, sure. Who do we want to start with?
You, Jonathan, if
Okay.
it's all right with you.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Yeah. So, I guess I've been in the world of tech for the last like 10 years. I've taken, I don't know, more than 100 or so tech companies to the market. I guess combined, they've all generated, combined more than $100 million. A lot of them have been acquired by, Turk or tech firms like, Thomson Reuters or LegalZoom. So my experience is really building the right product, and the right marketable product and kind of placement in the market, for go to market strategies. So, I've got a development firm, out of, Raleigh, North Carolina, and so we also develop technology, and we have investors and everything else. So
Very cool. Thank you, Jonathan. Jonathan, I know we won't discuss names or anything, but I believe you said that you'd actually worked on some educational apps. That's very cool.
yeah,
And,
totally. Yep.
yeah, Jonathan joined Evolving in Education, so and he's met with us and gave us some great pointers. All right, so Cassandra, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Cassandra Lupins. You can call me Cassie. I work with 3R Educational Solutions, and I am the sound therapist and course creator with 3R.
Very cool. Thank you, Cassandra, and thank you for joining. All right, Angel, would you like to?
Yes, I had to figure out how to get to my sound. I'm Angel. I started and created 3R Educational Solutions and this little brainchild of mine. So Cassie's just jumped right in and helped me make it a reality. So we're happy to be here working with teachers, working to teachers.
Awesome. Thank you. Would you like to pick somebody else? We have three more people to introduce themselves. So you'd like to pick the next person?
Sure, PJ.
Thanks, Angel. So I'm PJ Matzef. I am a director of curriculum instruction in a school pre-K through 12 in New York State. And then with a couple partners, and one of them's on here, and I'm going to pick him next. So, but with Be Real to You, and our whole vision is really trying to get into schools and starting to listen to what students are sharing, and try to bring that to the adults in the building so that we can sort of bridge this gap of what's going on with education right now, of students changing and a new world kind of being created on the fly here over the next few years, with adults that have lived in a world maybe at times technology-less. So we're trying to be a voice or a bridge to bring those two worlds together. Would Be Real to You. Daniel?
Hi, how are you, everybody? I'm Dan Bedard. I just want to share with you, I'm sitting at a soccer practice in one of the most picturesque soccer pitches ever in beautiful Lake George here. I'm Dan Bedard. I'm originally from Sudbury, Ontario, Canada. I've been a professor at Adelphi University in Garden City, Long Island, New York for the last 22 years in sport management. I've been involved in sports-based youth development programs with the New York Islanders and the Rangers. And we just relocated up here, upstate New York, and met PJ and Pat. And we've created this Be Real to You program that is going to take off like wildfire because of the need. Listening to the kids and listening to the faculty and teachers and administrators, for the first time in a long time, mental health seems to be a consideration for people that are gathering in schools, which is long overdue. And we're looking to help and, like PJ said, bridge the gap and find out what the kids needs and find out what the teachers need. And the administrators are crying for help, and we just like to assist and help them. It's always a pleasure, Amber, seeing you, and thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you, PJ, and excuse me, Dan, and likewise. All right, David, I guess that leaves you.
Okay, hello everyone. I already said a few words, but I'm David Caballero, one of the founders of Evolving Education, which is a platform to research and democratize how some of the most innovative learning spaces around the world are making already possible learner-centered education. So we have already kind of gathered experiences of more than 150 education pioneers from 17 countries and put all of that, synthesize all of that collective wisdom into an online platform and guidance to guide people through that process of questioning how they want to reinvent their learning spaces.
Wonderful. Thank you, David. Very cool. Well, I thank you all so much for joining. I guess I'll do a really quick intro. I know you guys all know me, but Amber Smith, a founder and executive director of Evolving in Education. I live in Muscle Shoals, Alabama, and I have no background in education whatsoever. I dropped out of homeschool, and my background is in underwater construction, demolition, and bridge inspection. So sort of an unlikely fit, but it's just a pleasure to be working with you all. All right, and we will continue through this agenda because we're almost done with it, and then we can talk a little bit if you guys want. And whoever is ready to go can go. So the next thing on the I guess we kind of paused at the timeline and milestones. Like I said, I would love to see this in action by 2026. I know we don't have any funding and it's going to take funding to get this thing moving, but I'm pretty confident that it's on its way. I've been pitching to angel investors. I know they invest in things that are for profit, but the guy I pitched to yesterday pointed out that the fourth quarter, is people are looking for somewhere to put their money to pay less to the federal government at the end of the year. So, but timeline, how long do you think it would take feasibly to sort of combine y'all's training and Jonathan, this is where I would love to see you come in, is for all of us to work together to find, like David and Les from Evolving Education, they've created this wonderful program, and Angel has also created this wonderful program, and they're both online. David and Les, they use Zoom calls as well, and dream cafes where they discuss in person virtually. But I know you had mentioned something, Jonathan, about the teacher training could be have filters for a certain type of teacher, could filter through for a certain type of student in a certain type of situation. Do you have any input on how potentially to combine? I know you probably won't have much input right now without having looked at these programs, but potentially a way in which they could be combined and put in the most user-friendly format. And not to say that how Angel and David and Les have created isn't the most user-friendly, but am I just rambling, or do you kind of get where I'm coming from?
I got you. Yeah. So, I think last time I spoke, I shared with you, the potential of going after that funding. And then I laid out, okay, this is how it's done. And a lot of that is putting together, the right pitch deck, putting together the right financial projections. And while a lot of it does make it harder for you, of course, being a nonprofit organization, but it's all about how you're structuring, those funds, and most of the way, like how you're using them. So, they're certainly going to care about that. And but that documentation that we would need to be creating first is for the product itself is a technical plan. And then a business plan. We certainly need that to really lay out what our vision is, and lay out kind of what our milestones are, what we set to accomplish when, because for an investor, that's very important, like when they're coming in versus when you're going to be in a place where you're able to start generating revenue. And the shorter that time frame is, the better ultimately. So, first is really giving them something to invest in too. And, the planning around that is where I suggested that we could start. I would be willing to use my team to help put together the business planning, with help from you and, even the market research, everything that's going to be required in order to almost get to the investors. The only thing I would struggle with is the development of the pitch deck. I think that when I talked with you last, I said, hey, shoot some out. or put together. I think I gave you the outline of what the right pitch deck is.
Yes, you did.
Okay, perfect. Yeah.
We-
Okay. Go
We
ahead.
actually had some questions about that. David had to leave. He's he's going on a trip, but we had some, I don't know. We were curious as to, I guess it needs to be designed depending on who you're presenting to. But before we get too deep into that, I want to point out that, as a nonprofit, I don't believe we'll ever be generating profit, or, the profit we do generate will go into the schools.
Yeah.
So-
Well, yeah, but a business, to be investable, right? You have to be able to generate a profit, or not a profit, but you have to be able to generate revenue, period. And if they're going to come in, they're going to be looking for some sort of return. And that's surely a monetary return. I don't know a single investor that would invest and not expect anything back. There might be, there's certainly some numbers and drivers that we can plug in to put together some sort of like 3-year projections on a bunch of if statements. So that's what we need to do. But the thing, ultimately, in order to get there, we got to have the technical planning. The technical planning is going to lay out exactly what this platform is, what our functional requirements are. It's going to lay out the roadmap for the development plan that is going to be super critical in any sort of like moving forward in any direction.
How do you suggest we go about getting that sort of roadmap technical plan?
Yeah, why don't I get you a meeting with my team, and let's get you to meet with them, and then I'll have them build it for you.
That's incredible. Thank you so much. I'd love to do that. I'll get our chairperson and CTO on the call if that's okay. Our chairperson, Karanbir Singh, he's also our director of learning intelligence. He just crafted a 56-page, very thorough, ongoing organizational structure and strategic plan. So we haven't just been, dragging AWS, if you would, excuse the vulgarity, but I'm excited about that. Thank you. Yeah, let's follow up on that. That'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. Certainly. Welcome to have a meeting next week sometime.
Yes, let's get that in the books. That sounds incredible. All right, so does anyone have any ideas on next steps in the the combining while upholding the excellence of Cassie or Angel, PJ, Dan, anyone, Jonathan, on how to combine these two programs or three? I know, like I said, you don't have any prior knowledge, but I know, Angel, you might have some insight on how we can even start the process of combining the programs. I don't know, perhaps she might be unavailable, but perhaps it would entail, someone from our team going through the program and finding ways. Well, no, actually, I already laid out sort of the process.
I'm here. I'm just in transition here. Can you repeat your last question?
What do you have any insight on the best practices or the best plan of action for going about combining the programs? I guess the common goals and objectives, we should identify our common goals and objectives. Seems like our common goals and objectives are the same for all of our programs, and then work on aligning the curricula and find overlap and potential integration. See, that's one thing with our teacher training, which I am adamant about, is making sure that it's as simplified and user-friendly and enjoyable as possible. I know I mentioned earlier, I had a thought today that it would be wonderful if we could even integrate it into the lesson plans, where the teacher goes, like they could all watch video on best practices and, get an overview of how to get the, social emotional learning and trauma informed lens to be working through, but then all of it is reinforced through the lesson plans. It lays out, and I don't mean make it harder for the teachers. Like ultimately, the goal of learner-centered education, I believe, is to help students, sort of help themselves with educating. But if anybody has any insight, I'm sorry I rambled.
I think our just for one of the courses we have through that is social emotional learning through yoga. What she has created is a whole entire curriculum and then presentations. So it's kind of what you're saying. It includes teacher training, but then how to use the material for the students. So is that kind of what you mean? I think if we give teachers direction, I'm not knocking teachers pay teachers, but it's a lot of here's your lesson plan, but what do you do with it? You know, we just print out a bunch of stuff and we don't know exactly how to use it. So if we're going to give them social emotional lessons to use for students, I think we need to teach them how to use it. And that would be like where our organization would come in. We offering different things, online courses, some of like we have differentiating instruction, how to use that with a social emotional lens, and so forth. So I guess we could, maybe we need to meet separately with evolving education group. Is that, and we can kind of talk about what we offer, what they offer, and how to combine that and create a whole curriculum for teachers.
I love that. Yes, that's what I've been sort of praying for. Is if you guys would be able to like work together into this. And like I said, when we have funding, this is very much budgeted in. You know, it's not a huge budget because it's $50,000 total budget for the pilot project. In our pilot project, we aim to implement onto one kindergarten class in a small town of Colbert County, either Leeton, Alabama or Hatton School. They're both like 1 square mile towns, tiny schools. Implement into one kindergarten class with a control class as the case study or whatever, you know, or a separate kindergarten class, which is the control, which doesn't get any kind of interventions. We don't implement any of our program into their class. I feel bad for those kids, but anyway, implement into one kindergarten class and follow that class through 6th grade, measuring our impact through learning analytics. You know, our neuroscience department has come up with this whole evaluation and success metrics. So, and you know, through brain functioning tests, and the tests are going to be fun. It's not going to be like a standardized test, you know, it's going to be like a game, which they enjoy. But so yeah.
Hey, I have a few things that I could share. When it comes to the programs and kind of scaling that out and beta, like I mean, essentially beta testing, right? You know, and what you're looking for, the measurables of, you know, what's the result of what we're doing. I've rolled out. I mean, I started in legal tech and I went into higher ed for quite some time. But one of the products that I was responsible for building is a product that took a lot of collaboration and testing with there's a school district in California. I can't remember the count. I was just on the phone with him. And it's like something like San Francisco or something, but one of them are the largest, they're the 4th largest in the state of California. They have 80,000 students. And they are actually beta testing one of our technologies, a mobile application with a back-end technology for like a social media for schools there. There's also some other products I've put into the marketplace with Dallas Community College. You know, assuming that, you know, depending on what grade levels this is applicable to or how we can expand into kind of adult education as well. The community college system of Dallas is another kind of product buyer of, you know, going through their procurement, but of one of the technologies I put out as well. And so I've got a lot of places that we can test and kind of roll out to if that comes the case, but also to help us, you know, get out there more. What I've seen in the past for systems like this is that another option for you guys is to take a product and bolt onto a current software, and we call it, you know, sphere of influence. So you bolt onto a software and and they are able to utilize your modules, utilize your training material in their platforms to be able to disperse it out to teachers and administrators and so forth and so on, lesson plans. And you can work with the district level too to, you know, kind of mandate that. It's some options as well. So, but yeah, I mean, especially when it comes to getting this product out there, you know, we're definitely in good hands. I feel like we have a pretty kind of robust team based on what everyone shared earlier.
Heck yeah, that's very encouraging. Thanks for sharing all that. That's cool to hear that they're doing that. University or the colleges. Yeah, so that's great. I love that. All right, does anybody else have any input? Dan asked for y'all to share your websites. And Angel, I know you're busy, so I'll share yours.
Yes, so if I can get any information, that would be great, because we are lucky enough to be connected to about 60 to 80 grad students that are doing research projects, and then we could kind of alter and push them into any direction that we want and give them a little direction that'll assist and help us.
That is amazing. Yes, that's phenomenal. That would be awesome. Our friend Ben, oh, thank you, Angel. I didn't get the www. Neither one of us got www. I'm gonna do it now. Yeah, Ben, our Kiwi friend, he applied, I guess in Auckland, they have this university does that where the students, you know, they pick their projects they want to work on. He applied for that, but he didn't get through. Ben, our Kiwi friend, he has a company he calls Ballet. And they measure brain function through portable wearable EEG equipment, and like, you know, measures the impact of like breathing and meditation, whatnot. Cassie, if you have a second, would you tell us about the sound therapy and how you said that's good for classroom management, if you're available to?
Yeah, so what I promote in my courses that I'm presenting to teachers and how I'm presenting is talking about frequencies and using different frequencies within your classroom to help with calming and being mindful about what you're playing in your classroom, and even cultivating your whole classroom experience based on what you want to see happen, and using sound frequencies and music to kind of add to that. So it's a very general idea of what I'm doing, but that's kind of the approach I'm taking with teachers is, you know, you don't have to be a musician. You don't have to be classically trained or anything like that, but that music. And then I talked to them about the science of how sound frequencies do change our brains and change our minds and help with calming and all those kind of things. So that's kind of the approach I take with it.
Very cool. I know that the ancients knew something which we have forgotten. I think we're starting to remember. I think some of it is frequencies. Like I've seen the science on it, and with frequencies, with sound, you can actually move stone. So I mean, that might be the secret to the pyramids, Stonehenge. Another secret the ancients knew, which we've forgotten, I think, is mindfulness, and you know, that's clearly starting to be remembered more and more.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I agree completely.
And do you mean, well, are you referring to like chakra or hertz?
Yes, I'm referring to hertz. Yes, like different frequencies.
Now, is that resonant frequencies? I think we
do what?
Is that what you call resonant frequencies?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay. All right. Yeah. I've got a few products that dealt with like chakras and health and well, really like the meditation, because I think that's kind of what it goes down to.
Yeah, it's kind of a fine line, because I don't want to necessarily use those terms, because that could very quickly turn someone's brain of, oh, no, I'm not going to do that. So I'm trying to stick with the science of it. We know that if you play this hertz, it has this effect on the brain. So that's how I'm trying to approach it, and not necessarily bring the excuse my language, like the hippy dippy terminology that goes along with it.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to be more science focused and based, and not some of the other stuff, even though personally I fully well believe in all that. But I know that, you know, it's not good. You got to know your audience sometimes.
Yeah.
Let's
Totally.
be real. Cassie has to reel me in every now and then. I get a little too hippy dippy.
I can see that. I can see
It's
you
our
being hippy-dippy.
adults.
I'm
It's the
hippy.
adults that are struggling, right? The people that we want to try to connect and educate, but our kids are totally in. Like if I say the word manifesting in my school, it's just like the kids' ears perk up.
Mhm.
And it's so funny, Cassie. I'm working with my son's soccer team, and we're just using binaural beats.
Yes.
And I'll just do a guided imagery session with them, and they're right now in New York State. They're like one of the top 5 teams in the state, and it's crazy because they hadn't done anything like this before, and the coach was resistant. But just giving them this ability to relax
Yes.
and not, it's been an awesome journey to watch it, but it's so powerful.
Well, and my journey into this kind of started that way. When COVID happened, when we came back into the classrooms, we were having to do a lot of extra cleaning and preparing. So instead of just that being downtime, I would always play frequencies in my classroom and just calming music. And I had a sound chime, and I would play that. And we had our routine. They knew what to do as far as the cleaning went. And then afterwards they could sit and they could close their eyes. And some of our biggest behavioral kids, the next year I had to take it out. And some of our biggest behavioral kids were begging me to bring that back in because they felt it, like they saw it, they could feel it, they could understand it, and just absolutely loved it. So that's kind of how I started down this journey is, okay, there's something to this.
That's so cool. Has there been much research been done on it? On the sound therapy and sound, the hertz and that? I'm
Oh,
assuming-
very much. As far as that, now using it in the classroom, there's not a whole lot, but as far as the science behind it, there's tons of research on it.
Our head neuroscientist said something about we have to stick with things that are tried and true. We can't go throwing all this other in, but I very much believe that evolving in education, we're going to stick with our breakthrough research. And, just because something isn't accepted doesn't mean that it could and should be in some. I know we'll get pushback, if for instance, like some people, they think yoga is hippy dippy or meditation, but meditation is a form of mindfulness, and
Yes.
mindfulness is anything which extends the gap between stimulus and response. And mindfulness, not only meditation, but mindfulness practice has been shown to increase cortical folding, your cortical thickness through gyrification in your brain. And that's tightly coupled with focus and attention, focus and intelligence. So like the neuroscience, the MRI scans, all that back it and show it, but people still think, oh, I'm not gonna, because a lot of people think to meditate or do mindfulness, they have to close their eyes and, not think about anything. But I mean, there's these guided sessions, and mindfulness can be walking in the woods, nature journaling, watching the sunrise. There's lots of different mindful eating, even just breathing. So it's fascinating. And EIE strives and is dedicated to bringing these practices to light, if they're really beneficial, and they're free, they're free. And it's tools that are in our tool belt, though we haven't learned how to use them effectively. I mean, some of us have learned how to use them, but that's one of EIE's goals, is to equip students with the mindset and tools, information they need to thrive. And some of those tools are definitely going to be, emotional intelligence. If you guys heard of EQ, emotional intelligence. Also there's PQ, which is positive intelligence, which is totally different. But I mean, all now we're worried about is the IQ, but the IQ, isn't that it emotional intelligence is more important, I've heard, than the IQ. I don't know, like I don't have anything behind that to back that up. But all right, so I'll quickly go over our next steps and action items, and then if anybody else has anything, if not, we can adjourn. Again, I thank you guys so much for joining. So next step and action items, I didn't list these, but I'll quickly try to go through them. So we're going to hopefully try to combine 3 R's and evolving educations and integrate Be Real to You however we can, the 3 programs, while upholding the excellence. We're going to find the most user-friendly, desirable approach. I remember you said, Jonathan, I believe you said something about have focus group meetings with the teachers find out exactly what they want. I know evolving education has done that a lot, but like, I don't know if it's going to be, I guess, an app or something where, you know, they could be on their phone and it's like, they want to do that instead of Facebook, you know, if we do the teacher training separate from the, learning plan, it would definitely need to be something like a community, you know, like Hive Bright, where they get on there and they screw. I don't know. I think it should definitely be a community effort, or, you know, a social type thing. You know, they don't have to just embark on it alone. They can make friends and sort of want to do the training. You know, like I said, like Facebook, people get addicted to Facebook. We want to get people addicted to this teacher training. To collaborate with 3R and evolving education and be real to you. Timeline and milestones, like I said, I would be just absolutely elated if we could roll this out by 2026. November of 2026 was my initial thought, but I'd love for earlier January. I know that, you know, that we can't set a timeline right now, but so hopefully you, Angel, and Cassie and David and Luz will be able to connect, and PJ, if you're interested as well, you know, you guys can sort of get together and talk about your programs, find out where they overlap and common goals. If it's cool with you, Jonathan, we'll schedule that call with Twin Designs. I'd be honored to do that.
Yeah.
Cool. That's awesome. All right, so I guess that's all I have. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to bring to the table before we adjourn, or any questions, comments, or observations? All right, cool. Well, again, oh, PJ, no, you weren't. I can't thank you guys enough for joining, and I look forward to doing this again sometime. I guess it may be best for potentially Angel and PJ and David. You guys schedule something. If you guys want me there to ramble, I'll join. If not, I'll happily sit it out so I don't talk through the whole thing. But again, thank you guys so much for joining, and I look forward to working with you all to help foster a brighter future. Appreciate
Thank you, Amber. Yeah.
what you guys are doing so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
Thanks
you,
for having me.
Thank you for joining, Jonathan, and for sharing your insight. I'm really excited to work with you guys.
I'll be in touch.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Have a
awesome.
great
Thank
weekend,
you.
everybody.
Thank you to all.
guys. Bye.
Thanks, PJ.
Bye.
Guys, have a great weekend. Happy Friday the 13th. Sorry, I told you. Bye, Angel. Thank you. See ya, Jazzy's otter and Jonathan's fireflies. Thank y'all for joining.